What's going on? This is the Flaming Sword, 2/3, part 2. If you're starting this video, please stop this video and go to part 1. It's very important that you hear it from the beginning. Okay? We're going to finish it up. This section of the 2/3 that was discussed a little bit in Armor of God that I've discussed in the book of Hosea, in the book of Amos. If you haven't heard those, definitely watch those, all of them. It's very important because this prophecy has been spoken about from the beginning, and it's what the Israelites have to do to get back into the kingdom. It's a sacrifice to show that you fear God. It's very important that you keep the ordinance and that you learn the proper ministry. Um, let's get it. Let's first and foremost give all praises to the Most High God, Yahweh, and our King to come, Yahushai, and all praise to you, lost sheep of the house of Israel, so-called blacks, native indigenous Indians, Hispanics, Latinos of native indigenous or Negro descent, the Pacific Islanders, same backgrounds by the house of your fathers, and all praises to the Gentiles who fear God. Let's get right into this. The Flaming Sword, Part 2. Let's do Enoch chapter 5. For I know that violence must increase on the earth, and a great chastisement be executed on the earth, and all unrighteousness come to an end. Yea, it should be cut off from its roots, and its whole structure be destroyed. Right, this whole covering on the earth, it's a structure of unrighteousness. It's a covering. It's a lie. And unrighteousness shall again be consummated on the earth, and all the deeds of the unrighteousness and of violence and transgression shall prevail in a twofold degree. It's going to get worse and worse here. And when sin and unrighteousness and blasphemy and violence and all kinds of deeds increase, that's what you're seeing today, and apostasy and transgression and uncleanness increase, a great chastisement shall come from heaven upon all these, and the Holy Lord will come forth with wrath and chastisement to execute judgment on the earth. And in those days violence shall be cut off from its roots, and the roots of unrighteousness together with deceit, and they shall be destroyed from under heaven. And all the idols of the heathen shall be abandoned, and the temples burned with fire. And they shall remove them from the whole earth. And they, the heathen, shall be cast into the judgment of fire, and shall perish in wrath and in grievous judgment forever. And the righteous shall arise from their sleep, and wisdom shall arise and be given unto them. That's right. And after the roots of unrighteousness shall be cut off, and the sinners shall be destroyed by the sword, shall be cut off from the blasphemers in every place, and those who plan violence, and those who commit blasphemy shall perish by the sword. And now I tell you, my sons, and show you the paths of righteousness and the paths of violence. Yea, I will show them to you again, that you may know what will come to pass. And now hearken unto me, my sons, and walk in the paths of righteousness, and walk not in the paths of violence. For all who walk in the paths of unrighteousness shall perish forever. Right. The 2/3 and the heathen. Heathen is a way of acting. You're a Gentile, but you're a wicked beast. Right. Let's get Isaiah chapter 5. You men of Judah, you princes. Verses 1 through 7. Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof. There's no stumbling blocks in his vineyard. And planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes, 2/3. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. Judge, I pray you do this. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Right. Well, how many more people you have to see perish before you start believing this word? Slavery, you saw that. Police shooting you down, it's all prophecy. The beast will rise up against you because you're not keeping the commandments. Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes. And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take the way of the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up. Right? He's going to take away your knowledge of who you are, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. That's right. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. Right? Nobody's been tending to you, the sheep, the vineyard. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. You don't get this water. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression. Right. So there's no judgment in our community since you don't know who you are. You behold oppression. You're always oppressed. People are feeding on you. For righteousness, but behold a cry, since you don't keep the commandments, which is your strength. Your brothers and sisters are dying in the street. Sorrow, tears. That's right. Zechariah chapter 13, verses 1 through 9. 2/3 have to be judged. And it's going to happen. The Lord's going to raise it up. It's a new song. In that day, there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and uncleanness. That's right. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirit to pass out of the land. Right. Testament of Naphtali, the prophets are ruled by Satan. They're going to get cut off. And it shall come to pass that when they shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, thou shalt not live. Right, because the father and mother are going to have this new doctrine. They're going to know the door of who they're supposed to listen to, because you're going to get proper wisdom from the proper ministry to know who you're supposed to be listening to. So you're not going to listen to false prophets anymore. The fountain is being dispersed. The fountain, which is discussed in Enoch chapter 48. Thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies in the name of the Lord. And his father and his mother that begat him shall thrust him through. They're going to put you to death. That's right. When he prophesieth, right, that it's going to be hot. Anything that's against the ordinance that's set forth from the beginning, it's going to be hot for these people. People who are not following this proper ministry, which is given to the men of the Lord, this fountain, which is discussed in Enoch, if you don't have this ministry, during this time, this knowledge is going to be spreading. They're all going to know who the real prophets of the Lord are, because they're all going to be studying the word. So if you're a false prophet, they're going to put you to death. Your own mother and father. Let's read. And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophet shall be ashamed every one of his vision when he hath prophesied. That's right. They're going to be ashamed of the visions that they've been telling you. Neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. Who's wearing rough garments? But he shall say, I am no prophet, I am an husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. Right, he's going to change his occupation. You're no longer a prophet. Yeah, I raise sheep, I raise cattle now. And one shall say unto him, what are these wounds in thine hands? Then he shall answer, those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. Right. Your own friends are going to be coming against you, false prophets. They're going to make you yield. You're going to quit being a false prophet and not keeping the commandments of the Lord and tilling the ground. They're going to rise up against you. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd and against the man that is my fellow. Right, because these men are shepherds. The Lord made them shepherds to trick you. Bring the sword against the shepherds. These false prophets, these gang leaders, these rappers, they're shepherds. They're stumbling blocks, stones, right? I was watching this video the other day. I'm watching this rapper, just got out of prison. He got like 50 jakes around him. He's getting all the money. He's a shepherd. Awake the sword against my shepherd. Let's read. And against the man that is my fellow, he's your brother. You think you Christ? You better think of that again. Saith the Lord of hosts, smite the shepherd. That's right. And the sheep will be scattered. Right. Most brothers who are in gangs and all that nonsense, they follow the leader. They're pretty much insecure. So you knock down the strong one, they all gonna scatter. It's like Chicago, gangs in Chicago right now. All those brothers from Chicago who went to prison, now the gangs are just wild in Chicago. It's just killing everywhere. You smite the shepherd, the sheep will scatter. And I will turn mine hand upon the little ones, right? Then you're gonna knock them off too. They're gonna be knocked off. Let's read. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. But the third shall be left therein, and I will bring the third part through the fire, flaming sword, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. How are you going to try? He's going to tempt you. You got to do this. This is part of the labor. Let's read. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. That's right. The 1/3 is going to rise up. The fountain of the Lord is going to be dispersed on the land. Your mama in the house is going to get this knowledge. It's what's going to happen. You're going to be a false prophet. They're going to rise against you. They're all going to know they got to keep the commandments with basically an iron sword. They're not going to listen to false prophets anymore. Let's read. Revelation chapter 14, verses 1 through 20. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as a voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne. That's right. And before the 4 beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. Right? You're not dealing with false religious beliefs. You haven't been defiled by it. The woman's spirit. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. That's right. The fountains, whithersoever he goeth. Be careful, don't eat too much honey. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. Right? They have the perfect law of liberty. They do. Not all mankind. The men of the Lord, who the Lord has chose, the elect, they have the perfect law of liberty. Basically, they can do whatever, and they have control. That's talked about in James. Let's read. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation, and kindred, and tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, fear God, and give glory to him. For the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters. That's right. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. That's right. You're all drunk. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast, you follow in the ways of the beast, which is here. You're following their ordinance, you're worshiping the beast. And his image. What's the image? The image that Columbus brought over here. Caesar Borgia. Let's read. And receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, RFID technology. Mark of the beast, digital currency, it's coming. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. That's right. Enoch was talking about this, the righteous, the praying to the Lord, the patience of the saints, the elect. Let's read. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Yahushai. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead, which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit. You die in the Lord from henceforth? Blessed are they, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Right. Why would you be dying? Because you're going to war, and your works are going to follow you. And I looked and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man. Right. Having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. Right, the wicked, the wild grapes. You're ripe with sin, and you're blind. You don't believe the truth. And he sat on the cloud, and he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. Blind sheep. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. That's right. The winepress, the 2/3, the blind sheep. They don't believe the truth. That's right. That is going to be the flaming sword. That's the part about the 2/3, the prophecy that must be fulfilled. And the next video is going to be about Abraham and the sacrifice. It's very important you understand this. All praise to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and all praise to you lost sheep of the house of Israel, and the Gentiles who fear God. Shalom.